because I like being seen, but I don't like seeing other people. It's quite tiresome and annoying having to interact with actual people, I find.
News. London Transport say they may have to close the underground system due to an infestation of horses.
Loads of horses, at least 30, I'd say. As the train approaches, they start running away from the train.
And what the drivers say they fear most of all is a head-on collision with a blind tube man.
What's up, YouTube? It's me. So, hello. I have found something which for me is quite exciting, for many people will be quite boring. It is Channel 4 News, the woke news outlet. I don't really think that, but that's what people say, isn't it? And they're interviewing Stewart Lee. I've seen him interviewed on quite a few things, little bits and pieces on the Daily Politics show or whatever. But I just thought, you know what? This is interesting because it's a whole 40 minutes. And, it's Stewart Lee content. And my channel is, let's face it, the Stewart Lee channel virtually. Should change its name, really. So thought I'd react to this maybe in 3 or 4 parts. Do support my channel. I don't make any money. And if you're familiar with the dead internet theory, of everything just being bots and AI and, bots talking to bots and everything feeding off itself. I mean, oh, pardon me. Sorry, I didn't fart, but I did. I am old. But my channel is 100% real, and, I do this because I enjoy it. I don't make any money. I'd like to, but I don't. And, please, just support me. Subscribe, like, share, leave a comment, and all that lovely stuff, because I love doing this, and I'm retired. I'm a sick man with emphysema and sarcoid and asthma and long COVID, and I can't do much except sit in my little cupboard and do YouTube videos. So I would appreciate the support, and thank you if you have subscribed recently. My channel's doing okay, but the growth is slow, and I'd like it to be way, like that. Good, let's dive in to comedian Stewart Lee on why he won't tour Trump's America, although I think he's going to be talking about other things as well. So let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Ways to Change the World. I'm Christian.
It's Christian Guru Murthy. Ways to Change the World. Subscribe to my channel. That's one way to change the world.
Guru Murthy, and this is the podcast in which we talk to extraordinary people about the big ideas in their lives and the events that have helped shape them. My guest this week is the stand-up comedian Stewart Lee. Now, Stewart has just written his last column for The Observer after The Observer's transfer of ownership, and he is on tour with a show called Stewart Lee versus the Man-Wolf, which we will explore in terms of what it is and what he's saying.
Should be the Wolf Man, surely.
But Stewart, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Now, normally this podcast begins with this idealistic question of how would you change the world if you could? Do you have how you would change the world?
Well, I think one way you could change the world massively is if we could bring to bear upon the internet and upon service providers and upon social media providers some kind of universally agreed standard of truth and of fact checking. And
I mean, we used to have that, didn't we? It was called having only 2 channels on television. I mean, in a way, I suppose it was a good thing. Even though we've got so much choice now, we now have no idea who's telling the truth and who isn't.
And obviously, we're heading into an even worse situation with that, whereby it appears reading between the lines that one of the things Vance wants, if he gives us a trade deal, is for us to abandon internet safety regulations and hate speech and stuff like that. I don't know whether it's so he can create markets across Europe for the tech companies that have bankrolled Trump's government, or whether it's about trying to leave him free to destabilise European democracy and push it rightwards. But
I doubt if it's for an ideological reason. J.D. Vance, what a horrible, nasty, nasty man. Although I am very much against internet censorship, so I'm a little bit torn on that one. The fact that you can't say kill or death, or you have to say self-deleting, and you can't even say porn. I mean, come on. How do you discuss issues if you can't even use words for things that are bad? Ridiculous.
I think it's just going to be a major problem, and I think it's really hard to move forward on anything while truth is mutable in that fashion. It's really difficult in stand-up because you sort of come out and do a joke based on something, but now the facts themselves are in doubt. You know, if I get in a cab and talk to the driver, it may be that he thinks that Keir Starmer defended the parents of the Southport killer.
Yeah, and see, I find this very depressing. I'm sure a lot of other people do. That now, when you're watching stuff on YouTube, or just on mainstream media, you have this feeling that anything you think is right and that should be talked about and understood, there's 100 people that would just tell you, no, it's not true. That thing you think is so important, because I've got proof. I've seen this video and that video. It's rather depressing, and I don't know what the answer is going to be.
And so before you can even talk about that, you've got to unravel these just false things that are propagated by the internet. And so I think that's really going to make a massive difference to democracy and people's well-being and the future of civilization, education, information and news.
Because there is always evidence that they can cite as well.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen the picture, or I've seen the quotes.
Well, especially with the speed at which AI is moving, really, you know, because you can fabricate an image and a story, and also AI will generate further AI information simply based on the bulk of information that's out there. It doesn't cherry pick what's accurate, and so, you know, falsehoods will propagate itself. And that,
that's the dead internet theory, isn't it? That basically bots are taking stuff, using that as an example of what's real, and then manufacturing something that looks real. But if you start obviously manufacturing something based on something that was made up by some other bot, then you just get this insane lack of reality. I saw some video, and someone had found some sort of article that was talking about 18th century frames, and sort of the research on 18th century frames. You know, what are 18th century frames? It's something that some bot has picked up off some other bot that's been warped into something that never existed. I might do a dissertation on 18th century frames because it sounds interesting.
That makes doing comedy really difficult because we need a commonly understood truth to either agree with or
to know what's funny
or kick against. Yeah, and now it's all out there. Anything's possible.
I mean, this is really interesting because in your last column, you did write. I think someone needs to build a new global news network, disinvested from media money men and Trump knee-benders, to save objective truth as we know. Now, I thought that was a joke.
I put a joke on it. I put perhaps Andrew Neil could do it.
Exactly.
With the experience he had from setting up GB News, yeah.
So that made me think the whole thing was a joke, as sort of a, oh, well, this is the kind of ridiculous thing that people say.
Yeah.
But you actually believe it.
Well, in the columns and the stand-up, I'm really lucky because I'm able to. I think a lot of the idealistic or extreme things that I have. I'm aware that they can sound ridiculous, but I sort of think them, but I'm able to put them forwards in the kind of clown persona of me, who is a non-realistic person who's got these, ideals, but is also in despair of everything. But yeah, I do think it's true. I think the best thing for Western democracy now would be to say you can't use Google, you can't have Twitter in your country, you probably shouldn't have Amazon, and you can't. I mean, it's Google it is a verb, isn't it? If my kids ask me something, I go, "Oh, don't ask me, Google it." But Google are changing the names of huge bodies of water depending on the whims of the Trump government.
The Gulf of America.
The Gulf of America. So,
yeah, and this makes me think of something which is quite funny. When I was at, I guess it would have been university. Yeah, it was when I was doing my mental health nursing. I remember my tutors used to say, and I'm sure other people of my age and even a bit younger remember this. They say, don't use the internet for your research because it's a load of rubbish. It's not accurate. And then, of course, we went through a phase where actually it was seen as accurate and probably was largely accurate. But the days of not being able to trust the internet are back. It doesn't look like it's going to get any better, does it? Because it's just going to become more and more, or less and less, possible to trust what you're reading and watching, which is a bit frightening.
So we shouldn't be Googling things, and we certainly shouldn't be using it. One of the problems with the columns, for example, and this is a question generally about how do we get information out there, is I didn't really have a social media presence, but I was aware that my Observer columns used to be shared on, say, Twitter, now currently X, in the hundreds of thousands. Now they're in the low dozens, if that, because he has engineered the algorithms to skew everything towards shock right-wing content. And I mean, more people come and see me live than read the Observer, but...
Just as a way of illustrating that, I've got a TikTok account. It's called Blind Tube Mares. Hop over there and check out my content. But one of my most successful videos, which got, for me, a huge amount of likes and I got a huge amount of followers, was simply because it had the word right wing in the title. And it was a sort of jokey thing about who is more ridiculous, the left wing or the right wing. So actually I wasn't dissing either side. It was a comedy thing. But it's interesting, isn't it? As soon as you put the word right wing in the title of your video, you get hundreds and hundreds of views. Those people may not be agreeing with you, but that's what the algorithm's like.
But I'm aware that on some level, that social media was doing the work of letting people know that I was out there doing gigs.
And a lot of comedians have built new comedians have built their careers on social media presence.
Yeah, and also writers and cartoonists and personalities. And it appears, I mean, I'm too old for it, but it appears to me there was a kind of window where lots of great talent was getting through. There's a flip side to that, which is I think it developed a certain kind of culture which developed work in short bursts that were interpretable and consumable on social media. Whereas if you've seen me live, Sean Ono Lennon has called me the James Joyce of stand-up. So I think what he means...
It's a sit-down experience.
It's not going to land in 45 seconds. There's normally some of the jokes take 2 hours to make sense, and so it doesn't really suit me. But certainly there've been some great people that were able to get leverage out of that.
But what effect do you think?
But of course, one thing to say about the internet is there is a counterpoint to that, which is that what I really like about YouTube in particular is podcasts, and podcasts are actually very long form, and it's great to see and hear. Often here, because you're often doing something else and listening to it. It's really good to hear conversations that go on, for 3 hours, because that never used to happen back in the 80s, 90s when I was growing up. It was just a quick interview on TV, more like this, in fact.
the changing of the algorithms is having or going to have on that whole class of comedians who exist?
It's going to wipe them out. I mean, it's going to wipe them out. It's going to make it really difficult for them. And I think it's on some level deliberate, because
it's clearly deliberate.
Because one thing those kind of right-wing demagogues like Musk don't like is the idea that people are wittier than them and are having a laugh. You know, they hate it. I mean, I sometimes think the whole awful situation we've got into in the world is because Obama did a good joke about Trump at a press dinner.
Yeah.
And is everything, is the death of all these people in Ukraine, is the abandonment of Ukraine, is attempts to destabilise democracy in Germany, is all that an act of revenge for Obama having a good laugh at Trump at the press correspondence dinner? You know, it's kind of, so I think on some level it is about shutting it down. Yeah.
Strange, petty, global revenge. So what a mad time we live in.
But I mean, does that leave you feeling a little bit smug that you're not vulnerable in the same way because you've ploughed your own path?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I'm not vulnerable is it's quite hard to cancel me or to fabricate complaints against me in bad faith and have me removed from employment. I'm not really on anything.
Yeah.
You know, and you can be dropped from theatres and stuff, but really I don't have. I try not to be visible, and I know that sounds ridiculous.
It's very odd for a performer.
Yeah, but I don't. I think, first of all, I think the obligation for all performers and writers to have to be personalities now. I was just talking to a book editor at lunchtime about this, about how she misses the days where a writer could be a reclusive eccentric, because now even a literary novelist has to have some sort of personality so they can kind of go and sell themselves on things. And you think of someone like Tracy Thorne, who, from Everything But the Girl, is a very good writer.
Yeah.
But partly why she was able to reach an audience is because in the golden age of social media, she was very good at it.
She was big on Twitter.
On Twitter. And middle-aged mums felt they had this advocate who was able to write about their lives in a really witty way. And but you know, writers ought not to have to be. A lot of people become writers because they don't want to have to see anyone. And
that's why I do YouTube, because I do YouTube because I like being seen, but I don't like seeing other people. It's quite tiresome and annoying having to interact with actual people, I find, and that's because of my rather autistic nature. And yeah, it's a great outlet. I get to talk to, in my case, dozens, sometimes hundreds of people, sometimes thousands in my videos, but I don't have to hear what they say in reply, which is very nice.
As a comedian, I think the stage persona is a sort of a construct. I mean, we know that the pub landlord or Dame Edna Everage or whatever, or Lily Savage were constructs, but I think all stand-ups are on some level and have to be a kind of a character act. And I feel the character act would sort of be undermined if I was an actual personality in the world as well. This is undermining me now because I seem much more reasonable and happy
than you really are. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Let's finish it there. I partly make these videos short because, you know, it ekes out the content a bit, but also because of my long COVID, I just don't have the energy. Once a week for about half an hour of recording and stuff, and about an hour and a half of editing. That's my week's work. I can't manage any more than that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe. I'd really like to grow my channel. You know, being completely honest about it, I'd like to make some money because I'm on an NHS pension and a tiny amount of PIP, which is really low, and it's about to be probably made even harder to get. You know, I have pain in my shoulder and ridiculous fatigue, and I can only walk about 100 steps before I get breathless. And you know, please feel sorry for me. No, really, seriously, I'd love to be able to make a bit of cash so I can have a few nice holidays and get a decent car maybe, because I can't really walk anywhere, and that would be nice. So there you go. I've attempted slightly to make you feel sorry for me there, and I don't feel good about it. But if you do feel sorry for me, do like, subscribe, share, leave a comment below, and hit the notifications button. And that's it. Part 2 will be coming soon. Don't nobody go nowhere.